Hey, welcome. Today we're going to be learning about functions in C, right? So, in C, well, generally in programming, functions can be for beginners, it can be a pretty tough topic to tackle. But in all honesty, it's not really that bad, especially for C, because all along we've been using functions, but we may not have really noticed it. So let's take a look at what we have basically anytime whenever we start up a new C file in a code editor. We have int main printf hello world done. Well, normally for what I use, we have return 0, and then yeah, that's it. So what this is, all of this is a function. So if we look at it, we can understand why it's a function, and also by looking at it, we can learn how to make our own functions. So first off, we start with the type of the function. So right here, this is a type integer. And what the type does is it basically specifies the type of value that is going to be returned. Now here, we know that this function here is going to return an integer. And if we look down into the code, we can see that yes, it does. It returns a value of 0. Within here, we also have some code that runs as well. But the return value is what is specified by the type that we have up here. Now next is the value. Why did I say value? The name of the function. Now this function is called main. This is the main function that runs whenever you run your C file. And right here we have the arguments. The arguments are basically anything that you're gonna input into your function that you're gonna be using in the processing. Right here we don't really input anything because we just want it to run by itself. And down here we have whatever else we need. So we want to print hello world. We run it and we can see it does. So in here we have everything that runs whenever we run the function. It's just gonna print hello world and it's gonna return 0. Something weird I noticed about this is that it doesn't really show the return 0 like the output code, but that's fine. This is all we really need to illustrate what our function does. Now looking at this, we pretty much have all the parts that we need to run a function. So let's try and make our own. To do this, I'm going to use a very generic type, which is void. The void type doesn't need a return value. So I can use it for something simple, like a function called day. What we want this to do is to just print back something that says today is Thursday. Today is Thursday, so I'm just going to make it say today is Thursday. Semicolon, and yeah, you see how easy that was? We have our function already. All we did is give it a type, we give it a name, give it arguments. Here we don't really have any arguments, but then we just really put in what we want it to do, and we're done. Now if we actually want it to run though, because if we run it right now, we won't really get anything back. We're just gonna get back the hello world. If we actually want it to run, we're going to have to call it back within the main function. It's pretty simple. We just need to say the name of the function, which is day, and then the arguments. It doesn't have any arguments right here. So whenever we run it, we're just going to get back. Today is Thursday. Let me zoom in on this. Yes, today is Thursday. That's when I'm recording this video. Now that we have this, we can be very creative with what we do. So let's say that I want to take some input, right? The day isn't always going to be Thursday, so I want to have something different for a different day of the week. Let me just change the name of the function to today is, because we're going to be doing some more stuff later. Call this one today is. Yeah, that's nice. So what we want is to have a string. For the arguments, we're going to want a string. So we're gonna want a string. It's gonna be the day of the week, so day of the week. For string, you have to make sure that you have your square brackets. And what we want it to do is just in here, that's where we're gonna want the day of the week to be. So we're gonna say %s day of the week. Yeah, pretty simple, right? I'm sorry if I moved too fast a while ago, but I'll cover it. So what we did up here is that we just put down our arguments. A general rule of thumb to follow with C is that you should always try your best to be specific, because that's how it works. It works with specific instructions. So when we're gonna give an argument, we want it to be very specific. So we're gonna have to give it a type, and we're also gonna have to give it a name. So this is gonna be a string, and it's the name of the day of the week. So when we're gonna be putting in the function, we want it to have a argument, day of the week. So down here we can pass that day of the week argument a value. Let's say Friday, for example. Now when you run it, it's gonna say today is Friday. Very good. So that shows that the arguments are working. Now we can definitely ramp around a little bit and make it work a bit better. So let's say we want to take input and output. I'll do that really quickly because I don't want to take up too much time. So just watch and follow along if you can. We're gonna first declare, we're gonna say car day. It's gonna be 10 because there's no day of the week with more than 10 letters. We come down here, so we're gonna say printf input day. Next we're gonna be scan. We're gonna be scanning, so scanf %s and then day. One weird thing about scanf is that if you're working with strings and you don't have an and right here, it's gonna be perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, that's how you're supposed to do it, because if you have an and, it's gonna run an error. That's because whenever you call a string, it's already gonna give the location for where it should store the scanned value. So yeah, don't think about it too much. Remember, this is about functions. If you want me to cover that, just leave a comment down below. Alright. So now this should be fine. So %s day. Oh, let me just put in day down here so it's actually gonna work. Now let's run it. Failed timeout. Oh, I think I know why. This thing is a bit weird, isn't it? Putting Wednesday right here. Yeah, I noticed. So for this that I'm using here, so it's not gonna be like piece by piece where you'll see me type it in. I have to put in the input up here. But as you can see, I put in today is Wednesday and it did run. So that just shows that our function works. Now let's try with something a bit more practical. My girlfriend actually, she has a computer science assignment, and she's gonna need a function for a perimeter. So let's take a look at this. So let's say we want a function for a perimeter. Let's just call it an int. In reality, you might want to be a float, but let's just simplify it to int. Int perimeter is going to have the arguments for it's a perimeter. Let's assume that we're working with a rectangle. It's going to want 4 arguments. So let's say int a, int b, int c, and int d. Yeah. Now all you really want it to do is to return the sum of that, because that's the perimeter. The perimeter is the distance around a shape or distance around an area. So we can say return a plus b plus c plus d. That's good. Now I'm gonna do something down here which isn't very correct, but it's just to illustrate a point. So let's just put back perimeter. We're gonna call back the function. Now, when we call back the function, what you're gonna see is that when we run it, it's not really going to give anything. What's here? Too few arguments. Oh, I forgot to put in the arguments. My bad. One. Let's just say 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the arguments we need. I'm sorry about that. Whenever you're running a function, you're gonna always need to put in the arguments down here. I showed you how to do that before with the day, but it just slipped my mind a while ago. So when we say run, the program did not output anything. Now, why is that? That's because all we really did is to call the function. The function returns a value, but even though we return a value, that value doesn't really do anything. It doesn't display on the screen because we haven't printed it. So let's say printf. We have to use back our specifier %d perimeter. Close this. Now, when we run this, it's gonna give us back our proper output 10. 4 plus 3, 7, 7 plus 2, 9, 9 plus 1 is 10. So now we know our parameter function is proper. Good. Very, 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 very good. So that's pretty much it. We know how to write functions in C. We understand how it works. We understand how returning a value works and that it doesn't really do anything unless you print it or use it again within the main function. And you should be able to take this and use it in different ways, whether you want it to return a character or it to be a void function that you can reuse multiple times within your program. Having multiple functions within one C program is very useful. So I hope this was also useful to you guys, the video. And please do come back again. And bye. Make sure to leave any suggestions with me. You can message me if you know me. If not, you can just send a message down below in the comment section. Alright, bye.